What's going on, you guys? It's the Super Bowl, and I'm here to break it down as usual. So, as I always do it, I'll talk about one team, I talk about the other team, and I'll just make my prediction on the Super Bowl. Here, without further ado, here is the AFC team. Before you start flipping out, this is the closest thing to New England that I owned. So, the New England Patriots are back in the Super Bowl once again. Yeah, this sounds like a pretty common theme. They've been in there for way too many years. It just feels like they're. How do you know? This is the ninth time in franchise history they've been in the Super Bowl, and now, suddenly, they could win five, all in the Tom Brady era. This is the seventh game in the Brady era they've been in the Super Bowl. So, what happens now? Well, the Patriots went through a suspension. We all know how that worked out, and really, I'm not surprised at all they are where they are. Just you look at that division of the AFC East, and it's been pretty mediocre. I've always just kind of pointed it out. Like, there's a couple teams that aren't bad, but there's nobody that's been good to challenge the Patriots. Like, as long as they're an 11-win team, usually they'll just win the division by default because everyone else is either 8-8, 9-7 at best. And okay, there was that one year that I guess the Dolphins this past year had a better season, but still, just there's no challenger to the division. So, not surprised they went 3-1 without that guy from San Mateo as their quarterback. And then, as long as that guy in a hoodie is there, they're going to keep winning games regardless if that San Mateo quarterback is not playing for them that one day. So, we're still in that dark times for people who don't like the Patriots, and it's pretty much what you expect. So I believe that guy in a hoodie continues to do his thing. They always do one thing that's interesting, and that is trading guys a little bit early before at least they have no stock. And that's been a track record of that guy in a hoodie for a while. I think this year was Chandler Jones. They traded. I think they made another trade before during the season just to get something instead of nothing. A little bit of short-term hit, but obviously in the long term, they know that they at least got something instead of nothing. He always gets rid of a guy a year early, if possible. So, he does a good job keeping things stable. They're always winning. They find ways to win and all that. It's amazing they just haven't gone through rebuilding. I mean, they missed the playoffs in 2002, and then of course we know that they missed the they missed the playoffs the year Matt Castle was their quarterback. But otherwise, they just continue to win the division. That's just how it is. And really, the offense has been just interesting when you have guys like Edelman and now Chris Hogan. Of course, Hogan was a bad fantasy option for me. I had him, and I was hoping he'd do more in the regular season. But it just comes to show what that quarterback from San Mateo is doing. I mean, they don't have the tight ends like or Gronkowski, of course, but they're still winning. They just have that guy in a hoodie. He knows what he's doing, and it's pretty simple. So there's that. Patriots, pretty much they're always a favorite as long as that guy in a hoodie is there. Once again, the closest thing I got. I had a jersey of another Atlanta sports team that doesn't exist, but that's not with me as I've relocated out of the Bay Area. Alright, so there's the NFC team, the Atlanta Falcons. First time in the Matt Ryan era that they've gone to the Super Bowl. It's been overdue, I would argue. I mean, when we think about how long Matt Ryan's been with the team, and they have that top pick, his rookie year, post dogfighting, and Michael Vick, I mean, it really is amazing when we look back at that. But, anyways, Matt Ryan's been a pretty good quarterback all this time. We know he's been legit. He's lived up to the hype of being a first-round pick for the many years that he's been there. He just has not gone to the big game in his career until now. That's what's really amazing is how Falcons historically have always depended on their offense to win games. That's usually how they've been. In the Mike Smith era, they were pretty good at that, just scoring points, but their defense was always below average in my book. Some years they were really bad, and they just never ran the ball either. They were always just this passing team because they had weapons like Roddy White in the past. Now it's all about Julio Jones. So, the Falcons, they improved themselves in the last couple of years. I liked their draft picks, specifically Vic Beasley, but even the past couple of years, they've looked a lot better. I remember their 2015 class. I liked the guys they took at the time, and some of that's coming to fruition. I know they hired Dan Quinn a couple of years ago, and we always make jokes about assistants of Bill Belichick, saying that they don't pan out. But if you look at the assistants of Pete Carroll, one of them, Gus Bradley, he gets fired this season. The other one, Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn, 2 years, he takes him to the Super Bowl. So Pete Carroll at least has more legit assistants who become head coaches than Bill Belichick, because none of the Belichick assistants, I don't think, have gone to the Super Bowl as a head coach, at least not in my watch. So you go in, Dan Quinn, he's a defensive-minded guy. He goes, fixes the defense just a bit, and boom, they are suddenly a team that's been legit. I thought they've won the past few years. I remember 4 years ago in 2012, I said the Falcons were very overrated because they had all these close wins go their way, and that's not sustainable. I always tell when a team always wins close games, you're not as good as your record is. And if you lose a lot of close games, it's almost the same way. But the Falcons, the past couple of years, have just been building up. I think last year they started well, and then they had some issues. But this year, they're winning games with their defense, and that's what's made me impressed. Some of the games defensively, they looked a lot better, or they've gone into buildings and they've been a lot more competitive. They're just not this team that's scoring 40 points and then that they have to ask their offense to win a game. They've at least made the upgrades that they needed to. And I think Dan Quinn, you got to give a lot of credit to him for that. What's also amazing is their front office and general manager was on the fringe of being fired coming into the season. And as we know, they've made an extension in the middle of the year. They kept their guys, and said they're in the Super Bowl. Credit is given where credit is due. They blew out their opponents the last 2 times, and they closed the Georgia Dome in style. They blew out the Packers when really I thought the Packers were going to go in there and win. I had the Falcons in the regular season winning the division. I thought the Panthers had a lot of close wins the year before, so I figured they're going to be due for losses. I didn't think the Panthers were going to fall off this hard, but as I say, you win some, you lose some. I've said that all over in my videos, and the Panthers had a lot more close losses this time around. You're just going to be due. That's how it works. So the Falcons are the beneficiary of it, because the Saints, below average. Bucks, overachieved, but still growing. So the Falcons, by default, I figured Dan Quinn and company were going to lead them to a division win. I didn't think they're going to make the Super Bowl. I didn't have them going there. But as time went on, I thought, okay, you can't write them off. Every team in the NFC was pretty flawed, even the Cowboys, and I thought the Cowboys were going to go one and done. But I didn't think that the Falcons were going to beat the Packers. That was my gaffe, and you could all laugh at me for that. But credit goes to credit where credit is due to Dan Quinn. The one thing I am going to rant on with Atlanta is corporate greed sucks. I am absolutely disgusted that both the Falcons and the Braves are moving to new stadiums for this 2017 year. I know that Georgia Dome has some age and it's not new by any means, but it's not this dump that everyone makes it out to be. I do not buy that. And when you look at other NFL stadiums that are dumps, you could look at the way the Oakland Coliseum is. It's just, it's ancient, understandably ancient, but there has been no renovations there. I'd rather see renovations on a stadium rather than just completely getting a new one that's not super old. I mean, for me, a stadium's got to be like 40 years old for me to say they got to be renovating it. But it is what it is. Falcons are going to get their new stadium next year, and really, the Georgia Dome was an interesting home. It was home to the tackle by Mike Jones, the Rams' only Super Bowl title, and it was home to quite a bit. But yeah, the Georgia Dome is officially going to be blown up. The worst, I think, the one that makes me more disgusted is how the Atlanta Braves are. I mean, that stadium only lasted 20 seasons, and it's already gone. I mean, that's a terrible return on taxpayer money. I know Turner Field was built for the Olympics and all that, but 20 years, that's corporate greed. Absolute corporate greed at its finest. These guys are going to be raking millions, and really, it's just a bad investment on taxpayers. I wish Turner Field could be used for maybe another decade or so, but I know there's arguments about the neighborhood. I've been there, okay? Y'all know that I took a trip to Georgia a year ago, and I made a trip to Turner Field. Like, it's got some wear a little bit, but it's not this. 20 years old is not a dump, okay? Sorry, that's just not the way it works. I mean, it's good to know that it's going to be used for football in the future, but just corporate greed. That corporate greed that their SunTrust Park and that Mercedes Stadium, whatever you call it, that the Falcons are going to, corporate greed's terrible. It's just the way money is and all that. So that's it for my rants. Falcons in the Super Bowl for the first time in the Matt Ryan era. So, how do I call the Super Bowl and what do I think happens? I just think it's that guy in a hoodie and that quarterback from San Mateo who's going to win the Super Bowl. It's pretty simple. That quarterback from San Mateo is probably going to go as the greatest quarterback of all time in history. To make this many Super Bowls in his career and possibly get the most rings ever among quarterbacks, I mean, he already is probably the greatest just when we look at stats and look at accomplishments. As much as we talk about cheating and much as I hate that, everyone knows what I think about the Patriots. And if you're a Raiders fan, obviously you know how bitter people are about the Patriots. But it is what it is. The Patriots look like that team that's going to be going in and winning a ring. I think the Falcons are a very good team. I think they had a great season, but I can't take their defense seriously against a team like that quarterback from San Mateo. It's how it is. I think the thing that I think is that the Falcons, I just wonder if the moment's too big for them. They're only in year 2 under Dan Quinn. Sure, they'll be more competitive than probably that Super Bowl where Denver kicked their ass, but I think that there were better teams in the NFC that would match up better against the Patriots, and all of them are not in the playoffs. There were 3 teams in particular I thought that had a chance: Seahawks, Packers, and the Giants. I thought those 3 had a chance, and really, that quarterback from San Mateo has only lost to the Giants in the Super Bowl. So to know that he's not going to have to play the Giants, it looks like they're going to just cruise in. I think every team, the NFC defenses were very flawed this past year, especially the Packers and the Seahawks. They just did not have the defense when they needed it. Falcons' defense was slightly better, statistically speaking, in the postseason, but yeah, the Giants had that defense that could have hung with the Patriots, and they're not playing in it. So I just cannot take this team, I cannot take this Falcons team seriously against the Patriots. The AFC had their whole course gift wrapped. There was nobody that stood in the way or challenged the Patriots. And the NFC, I don't think the best defensive team is there to stop the Patriots. So let me know what you think. If you pick with your head, not your heart. I mean, yeah, my heart says I prefer the Falcons among these 2 teams, but yeah, I just don't see it. I look at the Patriots and they look like they're just bound to win another one. It is what it is. I'm curious, of course, who's rooting against the Falcons. I'm guessing if you're a Panthers, a Bucks, or a Saints fan, you root against them. I don't know who else hates the Falcons. Maybe people think Atlanta fans are pretty casual, fair weather, which I can somewhat agree on that. But I mean, it is a hub. But I'm not going to diss anyone who's been a longtime fan, like our good friend Augusta Gator. I mean, good luck to him, and good luck to a few Falcons fans I think I've seen on here. But yeah, the Patriots, they've been pretty spoiled in the 21st century. I don't know how many have been fans when Gillette Stadium stood. How many were? I mean, sure, the last year they won a Super Bowl when they closed Gillette, but otherwise, yeah, it's way too easy to be a Patriots fan. It's been too easy in this 21st century. So let me know what you all think about this game. I mean, I'll have a recap and thoughts probably the day after, or just some reaction to it, but I won't have a video up until probably the day after the Super Bowl. So let me know what you all think. I'll be watching like anyone else at some party, I hope, and we'll see what goes on from there. Let me know what you all think about this game. See you guys later.